Being thrust into the paranormal world will often present you with unwanted consequences. There's a common challenge often presented to people who have experienced paranormal events, which I call the burden of knowing. It's simply a effect of the discovery of the paranormal world. When you're brought up in a world where the parameters have been defined for you, the world has been explained to you before you've even experienced it, and then you're thrust into a situation which offers you a completely new comparable. It leaves you in quite an awkward position. It's hard to live your life and just get back into your old shoes, take the old past that you used to know, and just accept it because you have this thing on your shoulders, this knowing that there is something more to life. You may not understand it yet, but the glass has been broken, the veil has been removed, and you can see beyond just something that you feel that you shouldn't see. So my particular story, as I've mentioned on this podcast before, came from a car accident when I was a kid. I was only 5 years old at the time, yet my memories were so and are still very strong, very vivid. I find it very hard to forget everything I'd seen, not just simply the accident itself, but the point at which I had this near-death experience where I encountered this entity. During at some point during my major surgeries, I was walking in the hospital. Previously, my legs were broken. I was in a terrible, terrible way, yet I could walk again. And as I explored the hospital, I encountered something in this empty room. And in this room was this entity, and it frightens me to talk about it to this day, but I need to really move beyond. And this is an example to other people. It's okay to talk about these kind of things, but either way, like I say, I met this entity and it was beyond my description. So I'm never going to fully describe to you exactly how it felt and what it was, because I don't believe there are words that exist to describe it. But my basic explanation is I encountered something so vast and so beyond whatever I am now. It's something that was so old and ancient. I felt like it knew me and I knew it. And it was indifferent to my existence. It didn't need to understand anything. It was everything. And after that experience, I got better in hospital and tried to live my life with this memory in my mind of meeting something that isn't the God that the religion told me I was to believe in at the time. It wasn't the Jesus that I was told about. It was something so vast and beyond anything I'd ever thought possible. And it made it hard to live my life, not just simply the trauma of the accident, the pain, the physical pain that I had to go through after was one part of it. My burden of knowing was knowing this thing existed. And it wasn't anything my Catholic upbringing told me about. It was something I don't even know. I don't know why it was there. Why did I speak to it? Was it just a mistake? Did I just bump into it on the way? Who knows? And I had to continue going back to Sunday school. So, of course, once I was better, me, my mum, and my sister visited the local church, and I'd watch these sermons by these lovely priests, and I'd see people there listening to the hymns and listening to the readings. And I tried so hard to fit in. I tried to listen and understand what was being said, to feel like I was being a good boy at the time. But in my heart, I felt like this wasn't me. This wasn't a truth, at least my truth. And the priests at the time, they trained me in the Bible. I'd do these lessons every Sunday after Sunday school, where I'd meet with a priest and read through the Bible as I trained for my confirmation ceremony, where you'd be officially accepted into the faith as an adult. Well, I suppose as a young adult anyway. I even did that. None of it felt right. At my communion ceremony, it was okay. I saw lots of people there really excited and happy and loving what they were doing. And I could almost feel the faith in them, but I just felt empty. I felt like I was just following through just to keep my parents happy, but I knew this wasn't me, but I wasn't willing to accept it at the time. And I followed through, and through my time at the church, I told them very little about the entity that I met because I was worried about the judgment that would come with that as well. So that also caused me just to keep continuing as I was, as this farce, essentially. I didn't tell my family about it very much. I mean, I told my mum a bit about it, but it was hard to put into words then, as I was quite young. I couldn't tell my friends about it. I mean, just saying anything slightly abnormal will be about a week's worth of jibs and jabs and just insults and just the kind of thing you do when you're kids, really. I couldn't tell various members of my family about it because I was always seen as the odd kid because I was living with PTSD at the time. So that in itself made them want to take a step back. But had they known what I know now, maybe they would have taken a step back further. Who knows? But it's this burden of knowing that a lot of people live with, where they know there's something more, and you push and push and push and try to be that person that you think the world wants you to be. And eventually you do, I suppose you have no other opportunity, no other way forward than to simply accept this thing. And it took me many years until I was an adult, essentially in my 30s, when I began to go, okay, this thing happened, I died. I met something that wasn't human. It showed me a lot of things. It showed me the universe. It showed me the interconnectedness of things. It showed me a glimpse of what is to come. It showed me various parts of this physical world, all within a nanosecond. And how I got there, I don't know. I was transported or teleported or thrust from various different directions. But it did it. And a lot of it aligned with reality. After my experience, I realized I knew the entire layout of the hospital, despite not having visited it in my physical body at the time. A few months later, on my walk through Oxford, I realized the bridge I was crossing that was in front of this lake was exactly the thing I saw in this connection with this entity. At the time in my body, that was the first time I was physically visiting there, yet I'd seen it in all of its detail right there. How is that possible? Why is it possible? And why me? I'm just a normal kid. I'm not really anything special. That's what I thought at the time. I'm still a pretty normal adult now, relatively. Why me? I can't do anything with that knowledge just yet. I can't change the world. Everybody has the right to their own belief, and I'm not really here to change anybody's mind, because I love that people have their beliefs. It promotes a wonderful way of thinking, a selfless way of thinking in some instances. But at the same time, it does blind you to the other side, to opening yourself up to new data, new comparables. So kind of taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, as an adult, I told my story through the book Paranormality, which will release in a few months' time. I began to tell my story through my podcast, and I did it with a lot of trepidation, with fear, because I was worried about the people that I work with, what they would think, my family members, what they would think of me, despite them knowing me all of my life and the experiences I've been through. A lot of them I haven't told them, a lot of things I haven't said to them for fear of that judgment. And once I began to talk about it, that burden of knowing began to be, I wouldn't say a shared burden, it was no longer a burden, it was just a message at that point. I felt like I'd let out this thing that had been on my shoulders. And it's up to people to decide what to make of what I had to present. It's releasing that burden that allowed me to move forward. And when I say move forward, it was simply, okay, now I've let this thing out. I'm now no longer too scared to approach this memory and try to understand what this thing was and what this thing meant. I feel like I have a better understanding of what it was now. I don't feel like I'm ready to say what it is just yet. And believe me, it's not the devil or anything. I don't believe in that at all. It's more of a man-made creation. But I believe it is something vastly knowledgeable, quite intelligent, and something that may be of service to mankind, I suppose. So in a way, me letting out what I had discovered, that memory, is maybe passing that on to other people to maybe open their minds. Who knows? But a lot of people out there who have seen incredible things that have to live with those experiences, whether it be a poltergeist experience, whether it be an experience with extraterrestrial contact, whether it will be, I don't know, angels even. That's the thing I've been discussing more recently, about the possibility of their existence and what they mean. There's so much more beyond our comprehension, and we seem to just accept our five senses as the absolute. And I find that's quite foolish. We are such a minuscule fraction of the infinite perception of what reality is. And I don't even think we even know what reality is. I don't think we really know what consciousness is yet, because I discovered the consciousness is not localized. I discovered it survives outside of the body, obviously with my near-death experience. So I don't know, there is something going on. I would love for people to be more open and speak about their burdens. As I believe the burden of knowing is a consequence of the culture that we've cultivated for each other, whether that culture be social, whether it be religious, whether it be institutional. Often the culture is a forged world, a world described to you, for you, before you've had your discoveries, before you've maybe discovered your new comparables. And the burden of knowing is a consequence of that, as like I say. So I believe you don't have to let go of your religions or let go of the institutions that you worship or whatever it might be. but just simply understand this humble viewpoint that your perception is limited and be open to taking in new information because you do not know everything yet. You're not capable of knowing everything yet. And this entity, at the very least, showed me how feeble our consciousness is within our current body anyway, how limited our perceptions are, and that we are part of something greater, I suppose. So yeah, what is your burden of knowing? What are your experiences? And I hope through me sharing this story over time, it will help you to understand why it's such a struggle when you discover these new places. Even if you're somebody who hasn't experienced anything yourself just yet, you may at least be more understanding and more forgiving of those who have been between a rock and a hard place of sharing their experiences and also being too afraid to tell them, and helping those with a bit of love and a bit of care, I suppose. So yeah, just a thought for today. The burden of knowing. It's something that can happen to any of us anytime. Take care.